Hello, Mr. Randy Duck, and welcome back for another video. Today I've got two replays to show you in the Tier 8 French medium premium tank, the AMX 30 Proto. Now this tank came out, I don't know, not that long ago, probably a couple of months back. I got a few replays in it at the time to show you the tank and just give you a little review of the tank. I haven't played it much since, so I thought I'd just have a few games in it. And I've got a couple of replays to show you today. So the first one, I'm actually platooned up here with our good friend Petty 360. We are on highway. It is a tier 10 lobby. We've got the worst spawn, I would say, the more boring spawn of highway, which quite often means you end up camping the spawn on this ridgeline for quite a lot of the game when you're playing a medium tank here with gun depression, which can get a little bit boring, but it is what it is. You know, I come to this position at the start because you'd like to see I can get some cross shots here on any of the tanks crossing towards the town, and if they make a mistake and cross too closely, you can get a few shots in and maybe even pick up a bit of assistance damage as well. There is no fun police to concern ourselves with. There is a couple of light tanks in the game. We've obviously got Petty in the French premium light tank there. And we're just trying to get a few shots on some tanks crossing there. You see an enemy Avery, we actually detect that, or we would at least get some of the assistance off of that tank, and we get a shot of damage in as well. This tank does actually have 11 degrees of gun depression, so you can actually use this ridge lines like this quite well. You have to be a little bit careful because the turret is quite central on the tank. So you have to make sure you're not really exposing the top of the front of your tank without realising. But yeah, you can use these ridge lines, you know, quite well. You know, getting your gun depression in there and getting shots in. As I say, you know, highway from this spawn, it is a little bit tedious. I always find to play from this spawn at the start. It's a little bit boring. You know, you just got to be patient and look for shots. The enemy team actually are able to sort of full send underneath your ridge almost and keep you all detected. Thankfully there's no fun police, so I don't have to worry about moving around to protect myself of that, so at least I only have to worry about what tanks can actually shoot me. So we started this game okay. We've only got a couple of pens in, but we have picked up sort of 1500 assistance, and it's been a fairly close game. We get a nice shot there into the Super Conqueror, penning that, pulling back into cover so we don't lose any damage. Like I say, fairly even game all around at the moment. I haven't had to reposition much. I'm kind of waiting to see if the team push up on the right hand side. I might have to start thinking about how to deal with that. But I can actually shoot the right hand side from here as well. At the moment, there's just shooting what I can shoot. I go for a shot into the enemy Death Star there, and I don't pen the Death Star, but the Peloton, which we were shooting earlier. We actually get a shot into that tank unspotted, putting us into just over 1,000 damage, 1,500 assistance, and it's 11 versus 11 on the scoreboards. So the enemy team, as you can see on the right hand side, are pushed up towards our cap just underneath the ridge. I'm not concerned about getting capped out too much because you are somewhat in the open if you try and cap out there, and there's ways I can move to get shots in. Obviously they might be able to get behind some buildings to stay safe, but I can relocate to try and deal with that if need be. This tank does have a 65 km/h top speed, and it gets to that top speed reasonably quickly as well, so you can get around the map quite nicely. It looks like the enemy Death Star is potentially going to peek here, where I actually will have shots, and I'm hoping to get a shot in. I do get a shot in, track them in place. I'm going to come back. It doesn't look like they've got the repair kit. They get double tracked, and we're able to just finish off and shut down the enemy Death Star, picking up our first kill of the game, putting us on to 1,500 damage, 2,000 assistance, a little bit of spotting, a little bit of track assistance there. It's now 9 versus 10. We actually are losing, and I'm starting to think at this point I'm getting a bit bored. I'm thinking, do I actually just try and go into town and deal with those tanks and win the town and then come back and defend the base, or do I just wait here to see if we can deal with the tanks on the right hand side if they try and step on our base? I don't really want to lose both sides and then get pincered, so it's fine if you lose one side. I just don't really want to lose both sides. Petties are going around just trying to see if we can spot a few tanks. At this point I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to go and try and finish off that Belafon and that T32 in the base, because they are fairly low, and I actually do have quite a lot of hit points. Looking to see if I can get any shots on the Bellefonds there, but he does pull back into cover. And now it looks like the enemy team were actually starting to push over onto our base, so I'll go back to try and get into position to get shots onto those tanks. I am using this ridge line here. It is a little bit, I'm quite high up if I do get caught out here, so I do have to be careful. But I'm going to look to see if we can get a shot into Super Conqueror. I don't quite manage to get that one in. Now I need to pull back because something's still targeting me, and I'll get shot there from just from those track lines, just near those buildings. Judging by the amount of damage I lost, I'm kind of thinking maybe it was that Bellefonds or maybe the Trinity maybe from earlier which shot me. So I was going to go down and try and clear out this town. But now I've looked like I didn't have a second thought. I think, you know what, I'm actually going to go back. Petty's unfortunately been taken out in the light tank, and I'm kind of thinking they might make a play into our cap, and I don't want to miss an opportunity to get shots into the tanks at this point. We try and get a shot into Trinity there. Probably I could have aimed that shot a little bit better. Trinity does have troll armour, I would say. So yeah, you do have to be a little careful when you're shooting at that tank. It's still very close. It's 8 versus 6. We have started to take the lead. I'm looking at the map trying to work out how many tanks are spotted and where all the tanks are. And at this point, it looks like the majority of the team are in the 8 area, with the exception of an enemy bat chat, which is, as you can see on the mini map now, right towards their base. So I'm going to try and make a play to try and get rid of the tanks in the A8 area, see if I can get some rear shots into them. And I'm going to go under the track to do this. The only danger I've got is that bat chat, which is in the base, and it is a risk. So this is a risk, because if I get caught out by the bat chat here, I could lose my tank for it. But also, it's kind of risk and reward, you know. I know if I do get underneath this track here, I'm going to get easy rear shots into these tanks and put them under a little bit of pressure. And I can use my gun depression to my advantage in this position. But like I say, I'm just hoping the bat chat doesn't come and shoot me. But I do have nice shots here into the enemy tanks. Enemy light tank gets spotted, get a nice shot into that. Now tanks are starting to move up towards the enemy base. I'm not as concerned about the bat chat coming behind me anymore, and I'm now just looking to try and get as much shots as I can. You see, I've got a really good position here to shoot things like this Death Star. The Death Star's also got tanks in front of them, so they're kind of stuck in a situation where they don't really know where to look. Do they try and shoot me? Do they try and turn to shoot the tanks in front of them? And I'm just trying to use that to my advantage to get shots in. Get a nice shot into the Death Star. Then I spot the enemy light tank coming for us. I am still fairly healthy. And as you say, I do have a tank destroyer with me at the moment who does slap that light tank. Now I know the light tank's not going to be able to kill us. We do eat a shot into it, and then he gets taken out by our friendly M47 Iron Arnie. Bringing this to an 8 versus 4, and this game looks a lot more under control now. I'm just trying to get as much damage as I possibly can. So we get a nice shot there into Death Star. Possibly could swap to the HE rounds and try and get a bit more damage, but I'm not going to risk it at this point. It does have 300 alpha, this tank, and it is quite nice. I do like those 300 alpha medium tanks. This is quite nice. You do, start to build up the damage quite nicely. Get the kill there on the enemy Death Star. Enemy Dragon left. I'm just going to try and get as much in as I can as our friendly machine. Full sends in there. I think the machine does get taken out by the, gets taken out by the enemy Bat Chat there, not the enemy Dragon. So now we know the Bat Chat is covering that tank. So he's probably going to be in the A1 zone. I mean, looking at the mini map in the bottom right corner, that's kind of the most obvious place for them to be. So I've had a decent game. I'm just going to try and full send and just hope to see if we can get any last shots in, any last bit of damage. Have an opportunity to shoot the bat chat, and I fluff it. I rushed the shot thinking it was going to get taken out very quickly. Maybe I could have aimed for a little bit longer. But that is it for the first replay. We still have one more replay to come. We do get 3 kills, just shy of 4,000 damage, 3,600 assistance. We get the medal for killing two tanks, 2 tier high, I believe, and the ace tanker. But yeah, that's it for replay number 1. One more replay to come. Okay, so here we are for the final replay of the video. This time on Westfield, and we probably have the more preferred spawn. There is 2 enemy light tanks, 1 enemy fun police. This time we are in a tier 8 lobby, and this time we are playing solo. So from the start, I am initially just going to go to this ridge line, see if we can catch any tanks out crossing, maybe get some damage, maybe get some assistance. depending on what our friendly light tanks do. Unfortunately, none of our light tanks have come to spot the cross at the start, which is not ideal, but it means I'm probably going to have to push a little bit further to try and do the spotting for our team. We do spot an enemy heavy tank. We're going to pull back behind this bush and then take a shot. We do manage to do that undetected, shooting through the bush as cover. Unfortunately for us then, the enemy light tank, the AMX, actually just kind of full sends blindly over the ridge. So we need to try and get into cover and out away. We do eat one shot of the AMX, but we do pick up sort of just over 400 assistance for it. And the AMX Chaffee is now, not in a good position, so we should be able to take out this tank, and that'll be well worth losing that initial bit of hit points there. So we do take out the enemy light tank, so now we have left it so there's only one enemy light tank remaining. So that was a very good trade all round, and yeah, it's always nice, especially on maps like Westfield, to get rid of the enemy light tanks, because you're going to have a far easier game, because you're going to be able to outspot those heavy tanks. And yeah, it's going to make everything a lot easier. So looking on the mini-map here, you can see a lot of the enemy team are playing the north, and I didn't catch that many tanks crossing. There could likely be stuff crossing as I had to retreat from that light tank, so there could be other tanks up there. We do get a shot in this heavy tank. Unfortunately, we get detected for it, and we get a shot off the Rex there, and then we get a second shot, so that was far from ideal. We kind of know that there's not a lot of tanks over in that position. It's probably like 2 or so tanks, and we have the overmatch over there, so we really need to win this side as quickly as we can, because we're not, the other side, the enemy team has the advantage. They have more tanks on the other side of the map, so sometimes what can happen is your team don't push and it can delay the game. But thankfully for me, my team are actually pushing this Rex here, which is the correct move, because if we get rid of these tanks over in this side of the ridge, at least if we then lose the other side, if we lose the north side, it's not as a big problem, because you will take control of the ridge line and you can then have a lot more control of the map. When you lose this game often from this side, it kind of happens when you have a lot of your tank camp on the back and the other side of the ridge, but they don't make that push at the correct time, and then you're not able to push over freely like I am doing now to get right underneath this ridge. So I'm now going to push it up to the ridge and see if we can spot any of the tanks. But as we're doing so, we see an enemy light tank, the last remaining light tank in the game. So we are going to try and focus this tank out. It looks like it's got a damaged track on that wheelie boy, because he's not one of the wheels. He's not moving very quickly, which is making it easier to pick up the shots. We do get 2 shots in, looking for the finish, but it gets shut down by our friendly Italian medium there. And now we're going to push to see if we can get any more shots in. So we're all in a decent game. 1, 2 kills, 2,500 damage, 400 assistance. We don't have a lot of hit points left, so it's not ideal, but we're still in the game. We still got a gun, so we've got to try and use it. So we're going to poke up and see if we can get any shots into this enemy TD. That tank's obviously a dangerous tank destroyer. You've got the 750 Alpha at tier 8. I want to try and take out this tank as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, we don't manage to get the kill shot there, but he does get shut down by our friendly T44. And now we're just seeing an enemy Nameless going through into, in the open. So we've got easy shots onto this enemy Nameless now, and we do pick up the kill there, confirming our 3rd kill, getting rid of that threat. Still a very close game though, 8 versus 8, and you can see that the enemy team have started to push over towards our cap. I have to be a little bit worried about that, because I don't particularly want them to get over the other side and get shots into us. So we've got, so we don't have any space. We need to go and deal with that situation. And there's an enemy Tiger here, which seems to be the obvious next kill, because we've got an easy shots onto this Tiger as he's fighting our friendly tank. We go for a shot. Unfortunately, I kind of shoot my own tank there. Not ideal. Probably should have waited a second for him to cross, and I could have got an extra shot of damage here. But we are going to get the kill, or we are going to get between us able to take out that friendly Tiger. And now we've got to contend ourselves with, unfortunately, this enemy Rex here has got to a position which I didn't want to happen, because now I can't use that ridge like I was. I need to try and get out of cover here, so I'm trying to get down as quickly as I possibly can. Thankfully, this tank does have good speed, and we actually able to auto aim and get a shot into that tank on the move there, putting the Rex onto a 1-shot. We're going to try and now deal with this enemy general. We get another shot into this tank. We're trying to stay moving. Don't want to take any shots here. We're just going to try and get to a position where we can take him out once we've reloaded. We have reloaded. We do take out the general. And then there is a friendly Rex still on the top, which does then get taken out by our friendly LTTB, which means we can now push up to the ridge because we don't have a tank behind us anymore, putting us into a 6 versus 4, and we have a lot more control of this map. Our friendly tank is starting to the cap, so the enemy team does have to come and need to go and deal with that cap. So I'm thinking about getting into a position to try and help get shots into the tanks while they're distracted, trying to kill the tank, get the reset in the cap. So also they do need to get that reset, otherwise they're going to lose. But they do manage to take out the tank in the base. The AMX 5100 does. So I'm thinking there's a possible chance that AMX 5100 could go on reload now, because he has just killed the tank in the cap. Maybe he's on reload, so I'm going to look to see if we can get any shots in him. Unfortunately, we missed that one. He hasn't gone on reload. That does mean I know he hasn't got a full clip, because he must have used some of the shots to try and deal with that tank in the cap. We managed to evade a shot there, and we do get one in, putting him onto a potential one shot, an unlikely one shot, more like a 2 shot for us now. But he's pushing into a position, and I do have covers from that friendly heavy tank. We get a shot in, we track him in place, and our friendly heavy tank at the back takes him out, getting rid of a very dangerous tank out of this game. Now putting us into a 4 versus 3, having a decent game here with 4 kills, 4,500 damage, 1,000 assistance, 600 block, and we're now in a 4 versus 2. So we've not won this game yet, but we're in we're in a good position. So at this point, I'm going to try and get some shots into this heavy tank. There's one medium tank with him where I don't really know, if I'm honest, exactly where that medium tank is. I'm kind of thinking he's probably up somewhere with that heavy tank, is what I was thinking. I was going to try and go and get some shots into him. So I'm trying to just go around. Also, I have to be careful because I am on 400 hit points. I can only really eat 1 shot before I can't eat any more damage. I was looking to try and get some nice easy side shots, but as that happens, I get shot from behind by the pattern, which we've now found, and I was not expecting them to be there. And I was thinking at this point this could be my game over. Thankfully, I've got good speed, and I was going downhill, so I could escape. And now I'm just going to use those all the buildings in front of me to mean the pattern can't get shots onto me, and aids me in my escape. But it has now put me on a 1 shot, so that is a little bit awkward. We do have decent-ish camo in this tank. It's not the best, but it's reasonable, and I have got better camo than the 2 tanks remaining, so I can at least try and outspot them. So I'm going to look to see if I can get any more shots onto this heavy tank. I don't really want to stay here too long, just in case that enemy pattern decides that he's going to push me from the base. You would like to think that it would get spotted by our friendly light tank before it happens. But I don't want to take the chance. I don't want him to come around and just shoot us and be on a 1 shot and potentially end up losing the game, which we're having a good game. So we want to try and finish strongly. The enemy heavy tank still has a fair amount of hit points. So we're going to go and we had a fair amount of hit points. Now he's on a 2 shot to us. We're going to go and push with our friendly Action X. Our light tank, our Rev does get taken out. But we do still have a light tank and a full health Carnarvon Action X there. I'm a 1 shot, but it's okay. I just need to let this heavy tank get distracted by our friendly teammates, and then I can poke up and get a shot in. Maybe try and get a kill, maybe even. But we poke up. He's not paying attention to ourselves. Trying to kill the light tank. We do get a shot in. We don't manage to get the kill. It gets taken out by our friendly Action X, but it does put us on to 5,000 damage and 4 kills and 1,000 assistance. I'm kind of assuming that the pattern, being that he wasn't in this engagement, has stayed in the base. So I'm going to get to a position that if they are still where they were, I will have shots at them, which is this position up here on the right hand side. You can get shots down into the base from this position. Our friendly light tank's going in, so he's probably going to spot them. He does. We're looking for a shot. We do get one in, putting the pattern onto a 1 shot. I'm now just trying to try and get a finish in here before he gets behind the church and into cover. Unfortunately, just manages to get behind the church before we're able to get that kill. We're hoping that they may push out, but then I'm thinking, you know what, our friendly light tank's going in. Now he's not poking because he knows I could shoot them. I might actually just get closer. If I can get behind the building, because we're both a one shot to each other. If I could get behind the building unspotted, then I could just poke and get the shot in. But unfortunately for me, our light tank does get killed, which has made it more awkward for me. I was hoping for him to be distracted by my light tank, but we haven't got detected, so at least he doesn't know we're here. So we're going to poke to look to see if we get the shot. He aims in, but I'm able to get my shot in beforehand, because obviously he wasn't expecting me to get detected in that location. And we do pick up the kill, and that brings us an end to the video. But let's just see what we did. We get 5 kills, just shy of 6,000 damage and 1,000 assistance. We're going to get the ace tanker and the high caliber, because it was well over 2,000 base XP. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy tanking.
Enemy in sight. Hadouken!